Hey fam, it's Lady C, and today we're doing a special Where Are They Now episode with someone y'all may remember from way back when. About 8 years ago, I sat down with Robin from What's Up Watchtower. Her powerful journey out of the Jehovah's Witnesses left a mark on so many of us. But today, we're catching up to see what she's been up to since then. And if you've missed her original story or just want to refresh your memory, I've dropped the link to our first interview down below. So let's get into it. All right, Robin, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here with you, Lady C.
Absolutely. And it is always a pleasure hanging out with previous activists. I know your videos are still online. You and Mike were very instrumental in helping a lot of people, come to the realization about this not being the truth. And we so appreciate you being out here with us as activists. And now we want to just kind of like talk about what you've been up to since you're a pro at this.
Well, we were really inspired by you and JT, along with a lot of other activists, when we started our channel, What's Up Watchtower, which was in 2016. So it was over 9 years ago. And we were uploading pretty regularly for a few years there. And it just sort of got to a point, which I think it gets to a point with a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, that after a certain point, you've done a lot of healing, and especially if you've made videos, that you've said the things that you felt like you needed to say. And we just felt like, it had run its course for us, and that we didn't really care to continue making videos. But occasionally, and we still say, hey, we should make a video about that. So you never know, we may still upload. And every once in a while, maybe like once a year, we just do a "Hey, we're still alive" video. But we're overdue for that, for sure.
Right. Well, you know what? Let's kind of talk about that video production thing, because both of us were you're still doing some other videos as well, and we'll get into that later on a different channel. But you want to just talk about the struggles of how hard it was to do videos. But a lot of people, they don't understand that. It's like a lot of times you do videos, and you'll get the comments, and people will say, "Well, why didn't you say that in there? Why didn't you bring that point out?" You want to talk about that kind of struggle.
Yeah, if you're going to, and our videos tended to be pretty long anyways, and people 9 years later don't really have the attention span for those long videos anymore. But even a video that the end production was 40 minutes, we would have been talking for an hour and a half to 2 hours. So to edit down a video that is that long so that it's cohesive, because you know how it is, sometimes you get talking on and you lose track of what you're talking about, and also to put in clips of things that you're talking about. Video editing is very time consuming. The whole process is very time consuming. So if editing down a video that's that long, you might be editing for 10 hours or longer. If you're taking your time to try to expose the religious cult that you were raised in and to help other people, that's really what it is. We were just there to try to help people as best we could. We knew we weren't going to wake anybody up who wasn't already awake. But when we know that people do wake up, when they have their own personal Armageddon, as we say, and they wake up, to find the resources of which we didn't have when we woke up. There wasn't YouTube when we woke up, so there was nowhere to really turn to get information and to know that other people understood what we were going through. And we just kind of had to go through it on our own, and so we understood the power of YouTube, because even though we had been out for a decade when we started making videos, it was before we started making videos, when we started watching other people's channels, we realized how powerful it was to hear other people's stories. That's a really difficult time when you're going through that. And so making videos to be there for people, to say you're not alone, you're not crazy, you're going to get through this, and it's not going to always feel this scary and horrible. You're eventually, you will decompress, you'll unpack so much stuff, even more than you even thought you would unpack, and you're going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, when you were doing your activism, did you find that you received emails from different people that watched your episodes? And what was one of the most touching moment that you may have had from somebody reaching out?
There was so many touching moments. I received so many emails, and I talked to a lot of people on the phone as well. And that was another thing that was really hard, to hear, just the horrible things that people had gone through. I mean, I heard so many stories, and so many stories of child abuse. And there's one person that always sticks in my memory, because he was one of our, cheering us on early on, because he had started studying. He was a retired policeman, and he was studying with the witnesses, and he came across our channel, and he stopped his study, and he realized it was a cult, and he let us know that we saved him from joining Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so I love that man, and I was like, this is why we're doing this. Like, we saved you years of sorrow, basically.
Wow. I remember when I did your first interview and we kind of talked about you had faded, you and Mike, and you talked about how you I guess your family just didn't realize that you were just not interested in the religion anymore, but it was something about they found you online. Can you unpack that
Yeah.
situation?
So we didn't link What's Up Watchtower to any of our personal social media, because we were just like not trying to get found by anybody that knew us. And 6 weeks after we uploaded our first video, that week I started to feel like kind of scared. I was like, somebody's going to find us, because our videos were getting a lot of views. And I was even on my work computer, not signed into any YouTube account or anything. And I just decided to go on, and I typed in Jehovah's Witnesses in the search bar, and our video was the first one that came up. And I was like, uh-oh. So, yes, to this day, we don't know who it was. We suspect we know who it was, someone who is a Jehovah's Witness and related to us, saw us on YouTube and went and told our fathers, who are both elders, or Mike's father passed away a couple of years ago. But
Oh, sorry to hear that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyways, so he never reconnected with his father before he passed either. And so, yeah, it was like immediate, like shunning. I did end up being able to have one last conversation with my parents, but Mike never did. So,
Oh, wow. Let's kind of talk about that, because now that was my next issue was after, it's been a while. Like you said, it was what, 2016.
mhm.
So my thing is, what is going on with the families? You said that Mike's father passed and he's not reconnected. He didn't reconnect before his father passed. Did,
No.
did you, what about the funeral? You want to talk about how that worked out for Mike?
Yeah. So his sister did let him know when his dad was in the hospital and in critical condition. They live in another state, and so they kept him updated as far as that, and then he passed a few days later. And they had a Zoom link for people out of town, and he was able to join via the Zoom link just to watch, but he wasn't a part of Yeah, well, is anybody a part of a Jehovah's Witness funeral? Because it's all about Jehovah. It's not about that person.
We're all about the watchtower. What about his mom?
Yeah, his mother is still alive, and they they don't have really any contact now. They've had a couple of text exchanges, but nothing really to speak of.
What you're actually showing is that the indoctrination is just that intense with people when you leave this religion, and a lot of people just don't understand just how that works. Even in death, Jehovah's Witnesses will refuse to have anything to do with previous members. And this, we're talking about a mom and dad here. So here she has a son who wants to connect, but she's so indoctrinated that that's just not going to happen, you know?
Sadly, it seems like that's the situation, and
Yeah.
I always say that we never know what's going to happen, and you know, we leave it open to see.
How about your parents? Are they connecting at all?
No, not at all. No.
How about your siblings?
Um, yeah, I don't really have any contact. I definitely don't have contact with one of them. One of them, I occasionally will text about mutual family member, our aunt, but really there's no contact, and but I will say, and I think it's fine for me to say this. He won't mind. My sister's son woke up a few years ago, and so he's in our lives, and he lives down here with in our area, and so we're very close, and also my sister had a stepson who is also very close to me now, so he was also disfellowshipped and left, but yeah, so I have my two nephews, and at least we have each other.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. So now, what are you doing? Now, how are you handling this shunning? Because I personally just cannot imagine not being able to talk to my mother for over 10 years. I just can't even see that, you
Mm.
know? So how are you handling all of that?
That for the most part, it doesn't bother me. I'm okay with it. I've done a lot of work on myself, with in various ways. I've done a lot of work, and to come to like acceptance of it, and that they have their journey in this life and I have my journey, and um maybe to get a little esoteric, I feel like we all have sort of a path that we're leading and supposed to lead in our lifetime, and that I I don't even feel like I have to forgive, because there's nothing to forgive. So that's the point that I've gotten to, that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do in this lifetime, and so am I. And I'm actually very grateful in a way. I'm sort of grateful, because had it not been for losing all of that, I would not have become the person that I am now. And I like who I am now, and I'm a very strong woman, and I'm proud of myself, and I love them, and I don't wish anything bad towards them, but I'm actually really grateful that this all happened the way that it did.
Well, that's good, because a lot of times people, they'll say, I wish this and that and the other would have been how things would have been different. I mean, when you and Mike put your video out, and that's how people found out that you had left the organization, would you have done anything different in the way you released the video, or like
Mm.
you said just now, it's okay?
I said to Mike, we were just talking about this the other day. I said, had I known what I know now, I would have done things, I said, more like JT and Lady C. I was very angry, like most people when you wake up. And I just didn't want to talk to them about the religion. I just was like, I don't want to be a witness. I'm just not going to go. I don't want to talk about it. I don't need to change your mind. I have no regrets about putting up the videos. Um, Not at all. People have asked me that before, and would I change that? And I was like, no, because that was part of my healing, was putting up the videos and going through that process and talking to the world about, what it was like to be raised a witness, to point out all the false teachings and everything, and the child sexual abuse cover up. And that was part of our healing and what we needed to do. So I have no regrets.
Right. I mean, because we get people all the time. Now, everybody's in a different situation because, like, JT and I, you and Mike, we were living on our own. I didn't work for Jehovah's Witnesses, neither did JT, and I don't think you all did either. So in that case, it was pretty okay to do what we did because we weren't going to lose our jobs and we weren't going to get kicked out of our homes. In your case, do you think that because you came out on your channel and they always talk about apostates, that made your family stronger in the religion?
You make a good point, Lady C. They definitely, I feel, became more radical.
Yeah, see? Because they're like, I'm going to show, they have to prove to their Jehovah's Witness friends that I have nothing to do with apostates. Because remember, apostasy is a bad word in the Jehovah's Witness religion.
Yeah.
So with all that said and done, it's like, okay, I am not going to go that route. And I guess it's just something about people when they leave the organization the way we all did, then their family members are like, they're very staunch and they're trying to prove something to the people around them. And maybe they're thinking, let me show my allegiance to Jehovah even more so now.
Yeah.
So when people get ready to come out, they may be pushing their family members further in because of the way they're coming out to do what they're doing. So, I mean, I think what other ways did you get assistance, like help when you left the religion besides just coming out with your channel? What other kind of support did you get?
Well, there was a lot of support from friends. I had, friends that didn't really understand the religion. I was in a pretty good place by that point, by the time we started making videos in my life, that I didn't need to go through therapy at that time. And because I had been through, I had gone through extensive therapy, which I think you and I talked about in our previous conversation. But the most help to me was the EXJW community. Those of you that were making videos too, that I became friends with, like Susan Gaskin, and we're still friends and we still talk to this day. And that was sort of my support system. And then all of the encouragement through the comments and things was very helpful and validating that we were doing the right thing. But, I just sort of was able, because I had been already out for 10 years, I already had my life established, with a social network. And I should say a big part of that social network involved, thank goodness, I had gotten into improv comedy around the same time we started making our videos. And so I had a whole new network of friends. And so I was able to, through those friendships and performing and making people laugh and myself laughing, that was very healing. And yeah, so that was, I should say that is a huge part of really helping me to get through those times.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode on Shunning, how it breaks families apart, yet pushes us to keep moving forward. That chapter is painful, but it's not the end. In part 2, we shift the focus to something new, building friendships, finding safe circles, and creating a support system when the old one is gone. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.